more on the principle that we can have misholim, gashmiyim, for inyonim that are essentially pointing to Elokus. And as he said, through the misholim, gashmiyim, you reach to the nimshal, the way it is on my the moshel gashmi, as a moshel, also has two levels. There's the gashmius of the moshel, and there's the gashmius of the situation that's being described, and then the seichel that points out that there is a sichli in it, that becomes the moshel element. I want to discuss this in detail. Let us take a very simple thing. The union of up and down, higher and lower. So the Gashmis, we say that everything falls downwards. The Gashmius, this union that everything falls downwards, how does the Gashmi itself explain it? It explains it by saying that like we say, the earth has a magnetic field, right? The earth has the koyach hamoishich, gravity. Everything falls down to the earth because the earth, it has gravity, it gravitates to the earth. Now, from that perspective, this gravity element has nothing to do with up and down, higher and lower. It has nothing to do with going down. It's going to the earth. Whether it's down or up is insignificant. The Gashmi itself, if you examine it from a Gashmi element alone, it does not have any concept behind it. You understand what I mean by concept? Concept is like a significance, up or down. Like a person can go higher and lower. Ruchnis and Gashmis. So it's higher and lower. In the Gashmi itself, as a mashal, it's strictly Gashmi. Then we say, yes, indeed, it's strictly Gashmi, but this Gashmi provides a moshel for a Ruchnizik in Indian called a Milo Mata. How does it provide a moshel for it? The moshel of higher and lower is that to go down takes no effort, right? It falls down by it automatically. To go up, you have to make an effort. Therefore, what we are saying is that to rise upwards takes an effort. You have to rise to it. The Gashmius, you have to climb up, you have to rise to it. And that is a motion for Ruchnis, that if you want to rise to a high madrige and Ruchnis, there's an effort required. You have to refine yourself. You have to be able to detach, disengage from where you were standing and rise upwards. Now again, In Gashmis itself, the object is falling down. So it is falling. It's falling towards the earth because the earth has gravity. But nevertheless, it demonstrates in Moshel, this is where the Seichel element comes in. The Seichel element comes in, and the Seichel recognizes that there is a direction to which you can go effortlessly. Direction that to which you, in order to go there, you have to exert an effort. How is it in person's own experience, on the personal level? To lazy around takes no effort. To get up and go and do what you have to do takes an effort. So that gives a muscle on a general scale that which is effortless is also insignificant, is going downwards. That which has an effort, that means that this is something which requires to rise, which is arising, which requires spirit. To get up in the morning, I take this simple muscle here, yeshiva. To get up in the morning and time takes spirit. To stay in bed takes no spirit. On the contrary, the less spirit you have, the easier it is to stay in bed. So you take a Moshel Gashmi, but then when you analyze this Gashmistic phenomenon of the things falling down, going towards the earth effortlessly, and the Seichel tells you this is effortless, means that there is nothing, no spirit on the part. This thing falls down. It's not falling down. It doesn't exert any kind of effort on its own. It's just coming down. The whole effort of it coming down is based on the earth, not on this object. If this object had any say in the matter, who knows, it would hold back. In other words, if you go down, it means that you don't have any spirit of your own. You are being pulled. If you have a spirit in your own, then sometimes you have to go down, sometimes you have to go up. And the more spirit you have, the more inspired you are to going upwards. And this is, so to speak, is exposed by a purely Gashmistic emotion. Where when you start on the moshel, it's not a moshel up and down. It's a moshel that says effortless or with effort. There's no effort on its part. Don't do it up and down. But that gives you a sense that if it is effortless, that means that it doesn't have spirit. That's called spiritless. This spirit is down, the ruchnis. And this is where the nefesh habahamis, the seichel of the nefesh habahamis, is exposed, is experiencing an element of ruchnis, or up and down. It's not the nefesh habahamis itself, like explaining lahavel to a behemoth, the principle of going up and down. No way. There's no spirit, no up and down. Doesn't go up, doesn't go down. Because that the nefesh habahamis, human nefesh habahamis, has seichel, and seichel has that sensitivity. Even seichel nefesh habahamis has that sensitivity that it can explain, that it understands things, not only the way they act, the gashmius, but what they mean and in seichel. What's the impression on it on seichel level? This Indian that this is, you follow what I'm saying? This Indian that it is effortless, this has nothing to do with the gashmi. This is a seichelic concept. And after that you demonstrate the Gashmi such and such, then the Nefesh Elokis points to the Nefesh Abamis and says, you see, this is what you accomplish effortlessly. And that the Nefesh Abamis can understand. Because he has seichel. You can say effortless or inspired or uninspired is something which only the seichel can identify. You know, does he have to go and get up, or he's lazy? This is not a gashmisiki thing. But the Nefesh Abamis has seichel. In other words, we can take a gashmisiki thing and show a seicheliki element in it. Something that, let's make a seicheliki element, something that is identified exclusively by seichel. It's not identified by gashmi, by anything else. And because the Nefesh Abamis has seichel, you can identify it for him. Once you identify it for him, then it becomes a nimshal for Elokus, for up and down, l'maylo. And that the Nefesh Abamis can also be, so to speak, exposed to seeing and understanding Inyanim from Elokus. From the Mashal Gashmi, from pure Gashmius. This, I'm pointing this out, in addition to the fact that this is exactly what the Rebbe is saying, using the Mashal. Pointing this out because in today's day and age, and it's the world that we are living in, and the situations and the concept that we are exposed to, when you go into the world and you say going up and going down, you may be challenged on the very concept itself. And then, if you're not prepared, you get lost. Who says there's such a thing as up and down? Who says there's such a thing as up and down? Right? And the Gashmi is the reason. The whole thing is gravity. No up and down. So, I'm using this to illustrate how Gashmis itself really does not have it. But once you examine and analyze the Gashmius in Seichel, then you see there is that actually it exposes to a nicer aspect of up and down. And that's how that from the Gashmi becomes a moshel for Ruchnis and for the Elokus. And the last words that we learned was that the Seichel of Nefesh Abamis becomes Nisbarer as a result of that. Now the Nefesh Abamis, as a result of that, no longer is limited to think only in Gashmistic terms. And Seicheldike in the things, and even Elikus in the concept, also begin to make sense to it. As a result of that, the Nefesh Elokis and the Nefesh Abamis can talk to each other, can understand each other. They become together. Nefesh Elokis leads the way, Nefesh Abamis can easily follow and rise up to it. Nichla, that's what the word, the line that we're starting from begins with. The Nichla b'haseichel the Nefesh Elokis. Nefesh Seichel, Nefesh Abamis is Nichlal, is incorporated in the Seichel of the Nefesh Elokis. We once spoke about a different Indian, but closely related, and then we use a different illustration, a different circumstance. You remember the Indian of 1 and 1, right? Do you remember this well? 1 and 1 is 2. Now, 1 and 1, why do you say is 2? Let me challenge them. The Rebbe says 1 and 1 is 1 and 1. You were there when discussed it. It's 1 and 1. How do they relate it? It's 1 and 1. You say it's 2, that's not because they are 2. It's because you see them as 2. In other words, for ease of reference, instead of saying it's 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 and 1, it is 2. But it's not, but in reality, they're not 2. That's how it would be mitzvah gashmi zoinah. But then, mitzvah seichel, the seichel has a different perspective, a different take on it. And then the seichel can explain, no, really there's a correlationship. And what is the correlationship? Okay. If you say there are 2 people, so it's 1 and 1, 2. But really there are 2 people. Why is it there are 2 people? Because these 2 people really represent the same thing. These 2 people come from the same source. They're the same creation. They're 2 people. Not like the evolutionists say. No, each person, a person, if it developed from a monkey, so maybe this person developed from one monkey, this person developed from a different monkey. They're not 2 people. Each one developed independently. They're two monkeys. How are they 2 people? So this we can easily enough explain to Nefesh Abamis. Wait a second. These are 2 people. These are not 2 monkeys. And the reason that they are both people is because they come from a single source called person. And therefore there are 2 persons, so to speak. One person split into 2. One person split into 1,000,000. One person split into 1,000,000,000. That's what people are. That is already a seichel union. That gashmis, you don't see it. But because the Nefesh Abamis has seichel, the Nefesh Eliki says, wait a second, look at where its origin is. And they're actually 2 people. This concept that 1 and 1 is 2 in essence, not just practically speaking, but in essence, is really a seichelic concept, and it's a godly concept. But it translates, and even to the point where the Nefesh Abamis also understands. I don't know if I told you the halacha example that demonstrates this union. You remember? The halacha, the example from halacha that demonstrates this union.
It's Mishnah or something? If it evolves by, they take measurement of the chassid or something?
No, it's not.
Mishnah or something, I don't know.
No, okay, there's something else. Okay, there's an interesting halacha. You know that Meiser Behema. Do you remember now? It's all in the same the world, in the same reality. What Meiser Behema? there's a din that Ma'aseh Behema, the Torah says, Ma'aseh Behema kol yasher yaveh tachas hashovet. Ma'aseh Behema means that for every year the person has cattle born, from the newly born cattle, he has to give a tenth. One of each 10 he has to give to the Kohen. Well, actually, Ma'aseh Behema, I think, is eaten by the person just like Ma'aseh Sheni. But anyway, it's Kodesh. Ma'aseh Behema is Kodesh. So, and the din of Ma'aseh Behema is not that you go into your barn and you count how many newly born sheep you have, take 1/10 of them and make it Ma'aseh. That doesn't work the way it works. The way it works is it has to go automatic. You herd them all into a fence in an enclosed area, open up a gateway, the opening, that allows one sheep to come out, and you drive them through the gateway. And as they come out, you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the 10th, you make a marker, that becomes the Ma'aseh. And then you continue to count further. If you take a 10th, it's not Ma'aseh. It has to come this way automatically. Now, what happens if instead of 1, the opening is slightly bigger, and the sheep come out in 2s? Instead of 1, they come out in 2s. What happens then? What?
The 10th pair.
You can count them in 2s. 1, 2, 3, that's 1 pair, 2 pair, 10, and the 10th pair becomes Ma'aseh. That's a din. Now.
So I wrote the same way if it was like 3s?
Yeah, 3 is any number, right. Any number, you can correlate them. Now, you ask yourself the question. Since that you cannot pick them out, it has to come automatic. So if they're each individual, they come automatic. But 2s are not something that you pick. It's not automatic. So how is that Ma'aseh?
2s, you can pick them?
Well, how the 2 sheep correlated to one another? How are they related? They're individual sheep, right?
Mm-hmm.
How are they related to each other that you say this is 1?
These 2 that they pass at the same time?
Yes. They pass at the same time. But they're still individual sheep, 1 and 1. And yet we say that this 1 and 1 is 1 entity of 2. And this is 1 entity of 2. Why? Because there is a correlationship, an inherent correlationship. You understand what I'm saying? It's not
the fact that they pass at the same time.
That's right. There's an inherent. The 2 sheep can relate because they are both sheep coming from the same. There is a relationship, and if they come together, so it's 1 pair. And you can call it 1, call it this one, and so forth. And it's not considered that you picked them out. It's considered that they came out like this. Because there is an inherent relationship between them. That, again, is a seichelic concept that can be explained to the Nefesh HaBahamis. Because the Nefesh HaBahamis from Tadas, but from Gashmi says, hey, this is not 1, this is 2. But you can explain it. Yes, it's 2, but it's 2 the same kind. The same kind means that there is a certain inherent relationship with them. What do you call this? A sheep. What do you call this? A sheep. Why? Because they both come from the same species, not individual separate entities. The whole concept that a sheep comes from a sheep, this is a species, is all based on the Indian that the REBBE created it. This is a sheep. It's not just an entity in the world. This is a sheep that the REBBE created. The REBBE created 2 sheep. The REBBE 10 sheep. this is how the Nefesh HaBahamis, through its Seichel, can be exposed and elevated to actually recognize Inyonim of Elokus in its Seichel. And its Seichel literally becomes Nizbarer. By the way, just a final statement, this is the ultimate effect of learning Chassidus. Sometimes you learn Chassidus and you struggle, and you understand a little bit more, a little bit less, and it becomes very difficult to relate to. But every time that you relate to a concept of Chassidus, you're mevared the seichel of Nefesh HaBahamis. It becomes a little bit more refined. Yes, please. It becomes a little bit more refined and more capable to conceptualize and to realize a non-immovable course. Now we continue. Now so far we said that the Nefesh HaBahamis is Nisbarer, and it becomes united with the Seichel of the Nefesh HaElokis. V'chein, and likewise, Aridei Zeh, as a result of this interrelationship of the Seichel of the Nefesh HaElokis with the Seichel of the Nefesh HaBahamis, Mevarer u'mezachech ha-Nefesh HaElokis es chelkoi bo ilom. The Nefesh HaElokis is Mevarer, to clarify and purifying its place in the world. Chelkoi bo ilom, his place in the world. We'll briefly discuss this concept in a moment. The Nefesh HaElokis is its place in the world. V'hainu, and that is hadvorim hagashmiyim, the physical aspects, elements, asher hayodo masig elokus, through which he comes to understand Elokus. As we explained before, Harei horeya bohem inyan Eloki. The Nefesh HaElokis sees bohem in the dvarim gashmiyim inyan Eloki, a godly inyan. Like we said all the way in the beginning, if you remember, that the Nefesh HaElokis benefits by this interaction. And by this descent, by this attempt to explain to the Nefesh HaBahamis to understand the Elokus in Gashmius, benefits. What's the benefit? It sees the Elokus b'muchash. It has a muchash inyan. Something that he can actually touch. Oh, yeah, this demonstrates inyan Eloki b'Gashmius. This is a gain for the Nefesh HaElokis. And thereby the Nefesh HaElokis is mevarer u'mezachech its chelek, its section, its portion in the world. I want to address these words, chelko bo ilam. The means by which we are able to use our gashmizdike aspects in the world as a moshel for anything we want to explain, especially when we explain inyonim ruchnim, inyonim alakus, and so forth. Is because of the fact that we have a connection to the world. Let me explain what I mean. I think I mentioned once in the past, maybe more than once, that as a person grows up, a child does not appreciate things except for what things that make him, that give him some kind of an enjoyment, whether it is a tasty candy or it is something that he plays with and he can do anything he wants with it. As he grows up, he begins more and more to appreciate things in the world. At first, his appreciation of things in the world, even as he's growing up, are all related to what benefit he can get from it directly. Like he has money. Money is a wonderful thing. What's so wonderful about money? I can buy candy. I can buy an ice cream. I can buy whatever money. I can buy a ticket on the subway. Money is something which gives me a certain ability to maneuver it. This is still not appreciating really the world. This is still really essentially appreciating how benefit what he can use the world. Then there is what's called gadlus, when a person is really grown up, so to speak, and becomes a godel. This is beyond bar mitzvah. Bar mitzvah is when you know you shouldn't destroy things. You know you have some responsibility. But really, gadlus is considered at 20. At the age of 20, a person reaches a sense of the reality of the world. And where is it manifest? Where is it recognized? It's recognized in one situation, one aspect is that he appreciates real estate. A child does not appreciate real estate. A child, let's say, who inherits, he lost his parents and inherited real estate. So the Besdin does not let this child sell this real estate until he becomes 20. Because he does not really appreciate the value of it. Once he's 20, then he can do anything he wants. A child, even at 18, 19, money in his pocket is to him more significant than a piece of real estate. What do I have from that? That's real estate, that he realizes the ultimate value of it. You understand? In other words, there's a certain sense of reality, of really relating to life, relating to the world, that is in the seichel of the person, that it has real value. Because he really relates to the world and really experiences the world, this is how he is able to draw from the world the experience, mesholim for yoim ruchni. Because he experiences these mesholim in his life in Gashmis. If he did not experience them, then there wouldn't be a moshel. You understand? He would not experience them. It didn't have any significant value to him. Let's say a person has a car. Okay? What does a car mean to a young teenager who has a license to drive? Fun. What does a car mean to somebody more responsible? It's a very important vehicle to get from place to place. You have to go to work, you have to go to shul, you have to go, whatever it is, it's a very useful part of life. It's not a toy. So if somebody were to use a muscle from a car, it would only be after he appreciates the real value of it. If it's a toy, what's the difference? A car or a ball? What's the difference? I enjoy it, you know. To appreciate the different aspects of everything and its usefulness, that has to be something that you've grown up to appreciate. This is chelkoid, his part in the world. Every person has his portion of the world. What's mean his part? Because this is the part on which he lives, to which he relates, and which he actually appreciates as being part of. And from this he draws all his gashmis dikemushon. You get the point?
Only when it's when he doesn't.
Only when it's significant. If I said to you, let's say, this concept that when you drop something, it goes down, even though it goes down because there's gravity. But notice, when it goes down, there's no effort involved. When you were 10 years old, did that make any difference to you? Okay, it's no effort, yes effort. Well, it doesn't mean anything. When you're 20 years old, it makes a difference. Because you know what it means to do something, or, something goes easy or it's not easy. In other words, even the Moshel Gashmi, only when the Moshel Gashmi is something that you really relate to, the Chelkoi, then it really makes a sense to you. And this is what he said, the Nefesh Elikis is Mevare Chelkoi Bo'elo. Each chelik in the world by using these Misholim, because through this Misholim he sees a Elokus in the world. In other words, it turns out that even the Nefesh Elikis is drawn into the world, and this is like a descent for it, but as a result of that, it is able to understand the Elokus through this Misholim. And this is how it's mevarer, its section, its part in the world. It shows how the world itself is actually demonstrating in Yonim Eliki. Okay? It's another lady. I'm sorry?
Falling asleep, I'm very sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I guess it's still aftermath of pruning. Huh? Okay, you got it? Let's go. Behind all the Inyonim Gashmi through which he comes to understand Elokus. He sees in these Dvarim Gashmim a godly Inyan. Behind when did you see the godly Inyan? That is Masheroye Prote Hanimshal Behamosho. He is able to see the various aspects of the Nimshal, of the godly concept itself. He sees it in the motion. Like we said in terms of down and up. More Ruchni, more Gashmi. Going down is more Gashmi, going up and more Ruchni. So he sees the protein, the Nimshal, the Elokus element in the Nimshal. How the Nimshal demonstrates and manifests the Nimshal. The Eich Sheheim Dover Echod Mamhos. And furthermore, he sees how they are Dover Echod Mamash. How Gashmis and Ruchnis and Elokus are really one thing. Dover Echod Mamash. Why are things in Gashmius the way they are? Because they actually demonstrate. They actually come. They were created by Yonim Ruchnim, by Yonim Elikiyim. They're mamash one and the same thing. The Gashmi, the fact that the Gashmi gives it is a moshel for Ruchnis is not an accident. It happens to be a moshel. It is that way because the Gashmi actually comes from the Ruchni. The Dover Echad Mamash.
So why is it by way of Moshe then? And if they're one thing, so why you need to look at one to understand the other?
Because the Gashmi itself before you see how it is emotional to Elokus, it seems Gashmi. Like I said before, gravity, and that's all it is. See Gashmi, you don't see anything. Only when you start understanding it and using it as emotional, then you see, oh, really, it is one and the same thing. And the reason it is things going downwards, is because of the Ruf Nizikya principle behind it.
Like one Gashmias thing could be a muscle for many different Rufnius concepts. So do they all like power it?
Yes. This and that one Gashmi thinking can be a muscle for multiple Ruf Nizikya Inyanim is only because you can see the Gashmi from multiple angles. And each angle has its own Ruf Nizikya principle. Like for instance, you have a left hand and you have a right hand. Right? Your left hand and your right hand, yes, together they represent the whole person, but they have also a special representation the way it is in a higher level, what's left and what's right. The Oz, and then, Ein HaGashmi Malim Umastil Olav. Then the Gashmi no longer conceals the Eloki, the Ruchni. At first it absolutely does. But then, once you examine it, and let the Nefesh Eloki show you a godly perspective of that Gashmi Ziki observation, then the Gashmi no longer conceals Fakert. The Gashmi now begins to demonstrate the Ruchni and the Lakus, instead of concealing it. Huh? What? Why two separate things? Because the Gashmi follows the Ruf Nizikya perspective. I can explain the Indian from going up and down. Yeah, it's Gashmias. But the reason it's going down, the reason it's the object falls down to the earth, is because there is the Ruf Nizikya concept of up and down. Even though this is Gashmias. So if you look at it exclusively for Gashmias, then it conceals the Ruchnis. They are definitely two, but they're not two separate things. In the real truth, they're not two separate things. In real truth, it is really one thing, but you don't see it. Let me explain to you a very simple demonstration of the Indian. You have somebody build a house. Listen carefully. And the bricklayer who stands over there and lays bricks. It's a very tedious job. You know what tedious means? Nerve-wracking. Take one brick at a time, with little 5-inch bricks. It puts a little cement on it, puts a brick in, brings it in that it should be straight, takes another one, takes and puts a little cement on it, and bangs it in with the handle of the satchel, and so on, go on, and lays one row, and it goes back, starts laying the next row. Okay, laying bricks. So when you see him laying bricks, what are you doing? I don't know, I'm just laying bricks. Why are you laying bricks in this order? I don't know, the guy told me to do it that way. And he pays me for it, so I do it. You understand? This is all Gush Gashmis. But why are the bricks being laid down? What's the element behind it? Why did it all come together? Is it an accident that after he lays all the bricks, all of a sudden you have a beautiful building? This whole building, as you see it after it's all finished, was conceptualized all the way at a much higher level. You understand what I'm saying?
So there's no purpose for you.
It was conceptualized in a person's seichel, in his nefesh. He wants a building like that.
Okay, that's not one thing. Is there
That's ruchnius. He wants, he wants the building to look like this. This is ruchnius. He can draw a picture, and it's not a building. He wants, that's what I want. This is ruchnius coming from his nefesh. And it is translated in bricks on the ground. And these bricks represent the Ratzon HaNefesh of the person who commissioned to build this house. Does that answer your question? They're not two separate things. Gashmius and Ruchnius are very closely related, not only by what it said, misachet, but the Gashmius per se conceals it, unless you use your seichel to understand it. They pointed out many times, the sun rises in the morning and makes day and brings light. So the Gashmius, if you look at the Gashmius itself, the sun couldn't care less what happens. It doesn't give light, so to speak, to the earth. It gives light, it's bright. And the light spreads wherever it is. The earth happened to be in its way, so it gets light. This is how you can see it from Gashmius. How do you see it from Ruchnius? The Nefesh Elokis comes to Rosh Hashanah and says, don't be an idiot. That's not what happens. There's a godly plan in this. Understand?
People are stupid.
There's a godly plan in this. The sun rises exactly the right time to wait the plan to have the day and night and the cycle of seasons and months and everything. When you look at it from Gashmis alone, no. But if you apply seichel, that's what the human being has, is a blessed with seichel. That's what it says, a pele. It's over pele. But the Behemoth is able to understand things of seichel. But it's able to because it has seichel.
People force themselves not to use seichel?
Yes, sure they could.
If you don't force yourself, it's automatic, no? Like you get it on.
Well, essentially, yes, but then you have to apply it. See, the challenge to using seichel is that once you start using seichel, seichel compels you to live like a human being. And if he still wants to know, but I don't live like an animal, then he starts fighting against the seichel and says, that's not really true. You understand? Because if it is true, so why are you acting like an animal? That's the problem. The professors in colleges today, who are all these scholars, but their scholarship today is focused exclusively on the Gashmi. That's their expertise, to strip everything, this Ruchni from everything, and show how everything is just Gashmi.
Kind of like the Greece, no?
What?
Kind of like the Greece.
I don't hear.
Kind of like the Iranim, no?
Okay, what's the difference? But we have it today. You don't need to go back to the morning. They strip it completely from Ruchnis. What happens as a result? The professors are the most immoral people under the sun. There's no morality. There's nothing there. I told you, I think, there was an article that I read in the Jewish press. A lady put an article, a paper in school. She went to school. Remember that? Remember that? She was in a theology class, and the professor says, there is no God, there is nothing. That was the professor. That's a theology class. Because if he would say otherwise, then how come you behave like an animal? Just no. I'd rather behave like an animal, and I'm going to teach animalistic views of the world. I'm going to teach you what's the truth of the world, only that which an animal can also understand. If an animal doesn't understand it, only you as a human being understand, then it's imaginary. It's not real safe. Right? You can prove it with Gashmis. That's what happens. It's very important to be aware of these things, because they hit you from all sides. And this is what we're saying. Then the Gashmi does not conceal the Ruchni, the Elokus. Adarabba, to the contrary. As a result of this Roya Elokus Begilui, the Nefesh Elokis actually sees Elokus Begilui Ubemuchosh Mamosh. He can see Elokus. The Muchosh Mamosh means that even a Gashmi, that he can actually touch, he recognizes that this is actually how this it manifests and demonstrates a unity. This is a phenomenal thing. And it actually happens as a result of that. And thus, this is the meaning that we say, שהנפש אלוקis, על ידי הסלבשו סוי בנפש הבאמיס, but the nefesh elokis, as a result of its getting involved and talking to the nefesh habamis, its language, the nefesh the Habamis language. Harei hu meir u'mezachech as nefesh habamis. He thus illuminates and purifies the nefesh habamis to the extent that the nefesh habamis begins to also recognize and appreciate inyonim elokim. There's chelko b'elo. and his own Chelek was the part of the world in which he participates, in which he lives. Yeah. Okay. This is it for today. Any questions? I think it's clear. We got rid of the halomas or stadium of Gashmis, and we were able to see a Lakus in Gashmis, Bemuchash Mamash.
The only thing is that you have to, anything that the person will come to contemplate on, he has to actually find the Ruchnius concept in the Sefer.
Right.
That's, I mean, it's not automatic that the person.
It's not automatic, because the Nefesh Abamis, the second Abamis, the Nefesh Abamis will not automatically see it. After a while, even if he doesn't see it, but he can sense that there is something more to it. Not only in sensing, but he is interested. See how this Nefesh Abamis at first is not interested. Leave me alone. I'm satisfied to live with the gospel. After a while, having experience and seeing how Gashmis is actually a demonstration of Ruchnius, he becomes interested. And after a longer while, this is where we say that he cannot even stand looking at Gashmis by itself. He needs a Ruchni element. Clear, Shmuel? Okay. You're well.